Not that I remember. This was
Nah.
like literally Doom wanting to play God, pretty much. Like somehow he ended up like as like crazy powerful and did whatever he wanted to
He
do.
absorbed the other
But
dude.
Yeah.
right, yeah. So
Wait, I'm looking at George. I'm
like,
trying
my
to
whole
see if
family
he's
was looking at me
serious.
like I was crazy.
If because I'm co-signing,
Yeah, I'm like, do you really know about this stuff?
but did I seem believable? Did it seem like I knew what I was
Little
talking
bit.
about?
Yeah, yeah.
At least
All right.
get this kid
Because I'm
your
working
love.
straight.
I'm working on that. I'm working on that. Yeah, I've been watching like videos and shit, and they like, if you trying to prove a point or make a point, it's not really what you say. It's like your tone and your body language. So I'm kind of trying.
Yo,
working
you
on
know what
it.
else is mad helpful? Like in any improv class, never stop the conversation. Never be like, nah, I don't. It's always yes and. Be like, yo,
Yeah.
remember when that dude let the building on fire? Yeah, and I remember
Yeah.
the other time.
Yeah.
Yo, I'm like, when did George start reading comics? Like, what is?
Yeah.
Yo, you faked me out for a second. Like, wait.
The only whack thing about that is like you gotta kind of be okay with being a liar. And I don't know how I feel about just being a bold-faced liar. Like,
If you really want to do something that that will test how honest people are when you're giving like a public speech or presentation, just work in some random shit that has nothing to do with it and see how many people keep looking at you and shaking their head like, oh yeah, yeah. And but like that's also like what I use like when I tell people like don't be afraid of public speaking, because like half the people that are going to be there don't even know what the fuck you're actually talking about, and or like the other 10% of them aren't really paying attention, and like maybe once in a while you have that one person that's like, oh but wait, you'd be like, oh no, I'll answer your question afterwards. You can literally say anything.
You're freezing already, Kofi.
Nah, he's not freezing over here.
So probably mine then. Damn it.
Yeah. I mean, you're not freezing though. At least like you're moving too.
Yeah, you're good.
that's all B care about is the footage. Like,
Yeah, but whatever
you could
comes
be
in
on
this
fire
end.
in real life. It could be like, oh shit, like my crib is almost burning down, and he like, all right,
Stay in frame. Stay in frame.
It's like, just keep going, just keep going.
Yo, G, I mean, I got all this stuff worked out on my end. Everybody good? We all clean?
Yep.
Yeah.
Is that the topic? That's the topic for today?
Yeah. They like,
So
hope you have this one.
I'm gonna run the intro and then G, it's gonna be on you. I'm gonna just give you the thumbs and you good.
Peace. Choose to Inspire, Not Destroy podcast, episode 15, and we're back. I got my guys with me, Rion, Brandon, Kofi. I'm G. I don't know, 15 seems like it should be a special number, but maybe I'm bugging. I mean, it's special because we're here and we're still moving, still working. If this is your first time with us, you're welcome. You're in a safe place. Thank you for giving us a shot. If you've been here before, you already know what's up. Be inspired. Thank you for tuning in and sticking with us. Today, we got a special one. I usually pick the topics, but Kofi presented something to us, so I'm going to put him on the spot and let you know that this was his idea. I hope he got something deep, introspective to say. Like, we've been getting the best version of Kofi, so I appreciate that. We're talking about, as men, what is our greatest fear? That really is a good one. I like it, Kofi. I don't know how you came up with that. We'll find out. But step back, let the guys say what's up, and let's just do our thing, fellas.
Cool. I guess I'll kick it off. So to answer your first question, how I came up with it, I was watching Loki, and no spoilers, but there's a part where like he's starting to realize that like he's a pretty shitty person, and like why he's a shitty person, and he's left in this room to realize that like he's gonna die regardless, and he's gonna die alone, and like he really can't change it outside of like the deal that he's being offered potentially. And like looking at that character and understanding that that's his greatest fear, right? He wants to be adorned and loved by everybody and call his own shots. But at the end of the day, he realized his greatest fear was he actually doesn't call his own shots. It's all predestined and out there for him. And that there's a higher power than he could imagine. forget about like, his brother Odin or whatever, but just like something that like he's never even seen, that like literally aren't as boastful as him. So that's how I came up with it, because it was very introspective for him. And I was like, man, that's his biggest fear. I would say my biggest fear is not leaving a legacy. Not necessarily in regards to children, but not leaving things better than the way I got them for family, whether it's immediate offspring or other relatives. And with that ties in dying alone. Because, I look at the last two people that I've lost, and they didn't necessarily die alone. Like, they had family around them, but they didn't have any significant others. We were going through this crazy, pandemic situation where essentially, none of us were allowed to really go and see them. And that sucks. You just kind of steal a line from WandaVision. You kind of just want somebody to grow old with and watch TV with. Honestly, right on the couch. And just, whether it's the Golden Girls or Bad Boys 3 or whatever it is, it's just the two of you just enjoying it. And leave something for either that person or other people that you cared about in your life to make their life a little bit easier, so they can leave something better for the people that they care about. And you kind of keep it going that way. That's my spiel.
I agree with that. Damn, Kofi, you kind of took part of mine, bro. Let me go second then, just in case. You should just Brandon or Rion. So mine was similar to what Kofi's was. So I guess I'll just go with the second one. My greatest fear is taking my shirt off at the end of this month and Rion's body looking better than mine.
Yo, I hate this dude right now, man. You keep putting more pressure on me. Oh,
his
man.
stomach is gonna be fuller than mine. His chest is gonna be fuller than mine. I worry about it so much. Nah, for real. All jokes aside, I had a few, honestly, like try.
Oh, we lost G
Oh,
right there.
no. There we go.
Yo, let's keep it going while he's off. Reed, why don't you go into yours? What your fear is?
All right.
As he reconnects, we'll drop him back in.
All right, my biggest fear is not taking off my shirt. This guy had a year ahead of me, so I just want to put that out there while he's not on camera. He had a year head start. I had 3 months. All right, so we're good. My biggest fear is basically to keep in line what I've been saying. I honestly believe that we have limited control of our lives. Like there's certain choices that we make, but then outside factors, deals their cards as well. But like I said, keep in line with things that I've been saying. My biggest thing is like procreating, moving on, and my legacy is my kids. You know what I mean? My biggest fear is my kids not having the type of comprehension or understanding that I've had throughout life. I don't want them to be weak-minded. I want them to be able to navigate life. I don't. You read certain articles, you're out on the street and you hear certain things, and you hear people breaking down from certain dilemmas and things that happen in their life. And I just want to be able to instill like strong-minded individuals into this world so they can move on and like flourish without me. That's my biggest fear, is not teaching them how to handle life. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's respectable. G, why don't you kick back in where you was going on?
Damn, where did I get kicked out at? Rion found a way to sabotage me.
Yo.
I said when I said
the Greek ab gods wasn't feeling the negativity, man.
Man, it could have been. All right, my bad. I apologize.
Mind you, I had to insert something afterwards. You'll see what I inserted.
He had a little funny joke
jabbed back
type moment. He snapped back.
He jabbed back. There's some taps.
All right, so y'all got the dying before I learn how to live in a moment. Did you get from where I started from that?
No.
You didn't get none of that? No. All right, so what I was saying, I feel like my biggest fear is dying before I learn how to live in the moment. I think I'm always, well, not I think, I know I'm always thinking. I'm always stressing. My mind is just always somewhere else except for exactly where my body is and exactly with what's going on around me. And I got Austin for 2 weeks for the beginning of the summer. And I haven't seen him in about a month, which is the longest ever. Like, I never go that long without seeing him until this time comes around. So when he's gone, it's like a piece of me is missing. It's hard to fully be happy when one of the biggest parts of your life you see on a schedule, something that's a part of you don't get to bond with and spend time with on a regular basis. And we just chilled this weekend. Like, I sat in their room, my wife sat in the boys' room with them, my oldest son Christopher. We all just sat in that space and we laughed, we talked, we were just around each other, and the vibe was amazing for me. It was exactly what I needed, and it's always exactly what I need. But I feel like in the process of enjoying that, I'm just off somewhere else. And I don't want to keep letting moments miss me by. I just want to learn to exist in what's going on around me and let the stress be the stress at another time. But you gotta enjoy what there is to enjoy now. And I think I'm learning to do that. But that probably is my biggest fear.
Yeah, salute to that. Yo, so, I mean, anytime someone talks about their biggest fear, right? Like, for me, I always, like, I'm gonna give you two different answers, right? Like, one that's, like, more personal, but, like, I always hear that Marianne Williamson poem, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but it's like, you know what, let me pull it up. It's like, it goes, just the first part of it is like,
something like that.
Yeah. It's our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Our deepest fear is that not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? Right? So, like, anytime I hear, like, someone mention their fears, that's always something that sticks out to me, right? Like, it just, like, always runs through my head. But it's honestly, my deepest fear is twofold, right? Like, is like seeing my daughter hurt, sick, or pass away. Like, since the moment, like, I held my child, the fear kicks in, right? Like, every sniffle, every sneeze, forever. Like, it's always been like, oh, yo, she okay? She okay? Right? Like, I would, like, a funny story is, like, when my wife was in labor, right? Like, I fell asleep in the hospital room. Like, I was in the room with her, fell asleep. And then the moment it was time, like, I just woke up. I was like, let's go. Right? Like, immediately. Right? And then, like, every time my daughter's sleeping, if, like, me and my wife could be sleeping, as soon as my daughter's like, Dad, I'm like, yep, what's up? What's happening? Like, immediately I'm in go mode because I don't play that. Right? But also, like, in parallel to that is, like, having to raise my daughter alone frightens the hell out of me, right? Like, losing my partner and, like, needing to, like, go that road alone, I feel like I wouldn't know what to do. I feel like I would lose my mind.
I think those are, like, for me, the worst of the worst. Honestly, like, at some point you kind of you feel like you don't even really care what happens to yourself. I mean, naturally you want to be okay and you want to be healthy, but I think seeing somebody go before me that I'm so attached to, I don't know how I would handle that either. So I agree with you, B. Those are two tough situations.
Yeah, probably two of the toughest I've heard.
Yeah, I don't even think on those lines, man. It's not even good to think about. I don't even think on those lines.
Yeah. It's like some things I don't even want to put in the atmosphere. You know?
I tell my girlfriend, like, it wasn't until, like, we became parents and you know, like a unit and family where you watch these news articles and things on the news where a mom had to watch their, like, daughter or son die or pass away before them. I'm like, yo, that must be tough. But it wasn't until, like, we became parents where I'm trying to, like, imagine that. I'm like, bro,
yeah,
that's insane. Like, I can't even fathom that now. My daughter is only 2. She's only been in my life for 2 years.
Yeah.
And that would break me, you know? And I'm like, we like, toy around with like certain topics. Like, so we have another one coming on the way, right? And it's like, yo, how do you even move on and make sure that child like has a great life and is loved? Like, you're still gonna love that child, but knowing you have this heartbreak of another child, like say if you lost one and you still got one and you got to continue for one, like I don't even like to throw those things in the air. So yeah, it's deep because I can't fathom doing that and then still having to like make sure I'm like there emotionally for this, like the second one. Those are things I can't
It feels
can't deal
impossible.
with. Yeah.
Brand, associated question for you, V. And you don't have to answer this because I realize that everybody's going to see this, but in the advent that something, and obviously we don't want anything to happen to your significant other, but in the advent that something does, do you have a backup plan or like started formulating one? Like, because, and I'm just going to give you my point of view, right? Because I think about this also.
Yeah.
Like, my inaction might be more detrimental, even though it's going to hurt, right? To like have to like move on and not move on and like find somebody else, but just like move on the next day and like with life, right? Because there's other people that are around me that depend on me. But like my inaction in that point will be more detrimental because then things get, we get behind on things. And then, there's room for all types of, just all types of everything, right? You become alcoholic or whatever the case is. And I found solace in like, don't want it to happen, but here's the backup plan. Go to this, need to make this phone call, get the house taken care of through this insurance, and kind of like be very like, not get caught up. I don't even want to say get caught up in the moment, but like just go into machine mode, then grieve after everything is fine for everybody else around me. So I don't know, like if that's like, I mean, you can answer it if you want to, you don't have to, it's totally cool.
Yeah, I think my answer is somewhat, right? Like I have like a super incredible foundation around me, right? Like I'm a wholehearted believer in like it takes a village, right? So like I do as much as I can for my daughter, but I am completely aware that like her aunts and my godmother and her godparents and my wife's cousins and like everyone has contributed to like my daughter being the person that she is. So it really like I understand like if something should happen to her or myself, like there are people who will make sure we're okay, so like that, like I do take some comfort in knowing that I'm not going to fall flat, but it still scares the hell out of me.
Yeah. Yep.
To be honest, I just started like not just, but when it came to a realization like I was having a kid, started developing like a full-fledged backup plan. Even then, it's still not, and like where I want it to be. It's not where you want it. I don't think it could ever be where you want it to be because you want people to be able to like live on like comfortably when you're gone. So it's like, I just started. I believe in backup plans, but not where I want it to be just yet.
Yeah, I know this is like super serious. This is a very serious subject. And that was a great question, Kofi. But I just need to say the views and opinions expressed by the fellas on having a backup plan if your spouse or significant other suddenly just passes away are theirs and theirs alone.
Yo.
I do not share, condone, or agree with those views. I may
Yo,
sit
we're
there
talking about a
responsible,
backup plan for,
but I don't
for
have
like
a backup plan
carrying
just in
on.
case my wife died. I mean,
No.
Listen, we're not talking about like,
We're talking about in case you pass away
I'm
too.
giving you y'all props.
Oh my God. This guy is the man of disclaimers.
I am so happy that you, but me, I can't. There's no backup plan. And just in case she's developing a backup plan, let me put this out there for her so she knows. When I go, stuff me, leave me in the crib. I don't know if you can stuff humans, whatever you got to do, but I need to be in that crib.
You're thinking of it in a negative concept. Meaning the backup plan is like saying, like, say if you pass, right? Say if you pass and, is your wife has a plan for your funeral arrangement? Does your kids have plans for like development later on? Is everything, set up like financially? Things like that. Not like, off your spouse
Nah, 100%. And I'm sure she does. She's very, she's on point with stuff like that. I'm just saying that for me, certain things I can't even think about, though, especially when it comes to her, knowing that just how tight we are. Like, she's my best friend for real, for real. So to have to imagine her not being around and then to still have to function inside of the family and not just be an emotional wreck and totally crumble, it's a tough pill to swallow for me. But I get it. I'm on point with what y'all saying. I agree 100%.
Yo, I feel like there's something else I need to say, but it might monopolize the conversation a little. It's going to steer it way left, right? There are two other things that I fear, right? And this is not on some like socio-economical thing like that, right? But like real,
Spiders?
like life fear? Nah. I'm good with spiders. I'll kick the shit out of a spider.
You got 8 legs.
I ain't worried about no spiders.
It's something
Swat
like
that shit
clowns.
outta here.
Clowns or
Nah.
elephants.
Two things. One, aliens, right?
Well, they're real, right?
I
They're legit
sincerely,
real.
like, I fear being abducted, right? Like, wholeheartedly. Like, if I'm driving alone in the fucking night through the woods or some shit, I'm like, oh, it's it. This is my time. I can't take
What
it.
if it's fire though? Like, what
Doesn't
if
it make
wherever they
you-
take you?
I don't
it's
wanna know.
just- It's
I don't
super
wanna
But isn't it even
like-
scarier because the thought of like they can take you out of your car, a moving object. Imagine what they can do hovering over your house when you're in bed and sleep.
Yes, I'm fucking
Right.
afraid of that. Like, sincerely, like, I'm genuinely, it strikes fear in my heart, right? Like, so
Did you
that's
see
one.
they just declassified the videos like a couple of weeks ago of
Yes!
unidentified?
Oh,
My wife still
God.
is like, oh, well, we don't know what that is. I'm like, exactly. We don't know.
That's why it's
how
UFOs.
this shape cut 800 miles an hour against the wind. And even the Air Force pilot was like, oh, shit, I don't know what that is. And they can't even catch up to it. Like, that's a big red flag.
Yeah, I'm super afraid of it, right? And like,
Yeah.
there's no other thing that would have as many witnesses, as many accounts as alien abduction that people would still be like, nah, I don't know, right? Like, nah, I'm super.
Unless
afraid
you were
of it.
R. Kelly. I mean, then all those witnesses.
Yo, the second one though, I'm gonna tell y'all a for real story. But the second one, I'm not religious. I don't believe in like angels or demons or anything like that. But I have to like weigh that against like real world experience. And I don't know if anyone here has ever experienced sleep paralysis, right? But it scares the bejesus, right? Like, it's happened to me twice in my life, both times at the same place, right? Like, I had rented a house in Queens.
Someone was
and-
holding you down.
Yo, not only that, but like, so the house was haunted, right? Like, we lived in a haunted house, right? And we had a few things happen, right? So like, there were times when like my daughter would point at things that weren't there and be like, Daddy, what happened to her? Right? Like, or she would be like, or she would like talk about the red girl. She's like, Daddy, the red girl, like, or like she would come and like be looking, like we had like a way to get to the attic. We lost G again. We had a way to get to the attic, and she would like look up there and she'd be like, Daddy, the red girl like went back up there. Scare the hell out of me.
You stayed there after that? You stayed there after
Yo, not for very long. Actually, we stayed there for over a year, right? Like, past that.
that?
But we were saving up a down payment, right? So like moving wasn't like in the cards. But also, right? So like the sleep paralysis, right? So like the most notable time that it happened to me, right, is like I'm asleep and I start like I'm not asleep. I'm like half asleep, right? And I start hearing, and I shit you not, the sound of a cat. And I didn't have a cat, right? Like I just hear it like meow, meow, like constant. I'm like, yo, what the fuck is that? And then like I'm looking back and forth, and nothing, right? And then it's like getting louder, meow, 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 meow. And I'm like, at this point, I'm like, what the hell? And I try to move and I can't move. I'm frozen solid, right? And it's just getting louder and louder. And my wife is laying right next to me, right? And I'm trying to like call out to her. I'm like, and I can't make a sound. I'm trying to tap her. And eventually what happens is like my leg taps hers, right? And then like I'm released. As soon as I make contact, it's like, babe! And I'm like, and she's like, yo, what happened? What happened? I'm like, yo, I don't even know how to tell you what just happened, right? Like it scared the hell out of me.
You know, he probably just watched that movie where the cats climb up and take out your soul. That was, you remember that old early 80s movies or 90s movies where the cats was like snatching souls and they turned into like human beings later on?
Yo, I
sure you ain't watched
that movie, but but mind you, as soon as I didn't hear it anymore, right? Like everything stopped. And then the second time, right? Like, because this only happened to me twice in my whole life. Same building, right? Where the red girl was, where all of this stuff, right? And then the second time, I fall asleep on the couch, right? And this is back when like cable boxes, like I don't know if anyone still has cable, right? But like it had the time on it, right? So you could tell, like you're awake. I could see the time on the cable box, and it's like flashing. And I wake up, right? I fell asleep on the couch, and I wake up. And as soon as I open my eyes, I'm like, it's happening again, right? Like I knew the moment my eyes open, like I felt like I don't know, fear through my whole body, right? And I'm like, and I see the time on the clock, so I can tell I'm awake, right? And it's just blinking, and like my brother at that point, like had one of the rooms upstairs, right? And I'm like, trying my hardest to call out to him, right? And we called him Mac in those times, right? So I'm like, Mac. And I eventually like break out of it and I yell his name. And he's like, yo, what happened? I'm like, yo, it happened again. I'm like, I don't know what happened, but it happened again. And that was the last time. Like after that, we moved, everything, we were gone. Nothing else ever happened again.
So probably like severed your link. You're probably like between the astral plane and the real world, man. You got to let your body flow with it, man.
Have you ever had an out of body experience?
Go to the astral plane, Brandon. You should have went. You could have saw some things.
Nah,
that thing that you mentioned with the little kids. No,
that shit is scary.
That thing that you mentioned with like your daughter saying, you know, the red lady. So my daughter like. Points at little things and like in the air and does all that shit too, right? And my girlfriend believes in spiritual stuff, and she's from Haiti, so she has all these, you know, what do you call it? Background beliefs, yeah. So, I don't play with that shit. I always, I believe. Meaning, I don't fuck with these people. Like, I'm on the rim with you. Like, I'm not religious either, but I believe in spirituality. I believe in certain things. I believe in like, you know, we're not the only beings in this world, right? Or in this galaxy. And so I believe that little kids are connected in a certain way where they'll see other things, and then as you grow, you kind of sever that tie to that like innocent little spectral realm that they will see. Yep. So when my daughter starts pointing that shit, I'd be like, yo, back up. We don't want you in here. She ain't even talking to you right now. We going to sleep. And I treat them like they're regular people. Because my girlfriend says, if you don't invite them, then they're not welcome. And if you pretend like you're afraid, then that's when they're going to start bothering you. Me, I treat them like she really did see them, but nah, son, you're not coming here. Go somewhere else. She's not talking to you right now. And we go to bed. So, but I see I've seen what you experience with your daughter, with mine as well. And it's airy. It's one of those airy little feelings. But like I said, I believe kids are connected in a different way, and they lose the connection later on.
I definitely have to agree with you on that. So I've had an out-of-body experience before where, like, I legit was in bed. I felt like I was dreaming. And, like, there's always, like, like, some people try and scientifically explain, well, like, you already know what your room looks like. So, like, you were dreaming of, like, what your room looked like from a bird's eye view. I legit was, like, above my body watching myself sleep. And I'm like... but like I'm floating and like I could move around and shit. I didn't leave my house or anything, but I was freaked out because I was like, what the fuck is going on? I thought I was being taken, to your point. I was like, what the hell? And I'm just watching my body lay there, and like I'm floating, but like I'm face down floating, watching everything. So that's one. And then, Rion, to your point, I'm a firm believer in the younger you are, the more in tune you are, whether it be spiritual or whether, it's actually like mathematically based, another, you're able to tap into other, I guess I don't want to call it forces, but like other,
Dimensions.
yeah, I guess you can call it forces. Yeah. Right. Dimensions or like, the dark matter, light matter, whatever you want to call it. I distinctly remember when I was a kid, I used to have a ton of premonitions, right? And people are like, oh, it's just deja vu. And I'm like, no, but like I dreamt of this shit a month ago. And like, this is exactly to the point where I would stop like myself from saying something that I saw in the premonition with like the scene set just because I didn't want it to actually happen. And it wouldn't be anything crazy like the lotto numbers or like somebody dying. It would just be, I don't want to do this deja vu thing again. But I remember right before I started getting all these premonitions, I had a dream where I was like in some field and there were three, I guess, three like beings that had three objects. One had a cube, the other had a cylinder, and the other had a circle. And they offered all three to me, and I only chose the cube. And I remember just playing with it for a little bit, then I woke up. I swear to you, and it wasn't anything consistent, but after that, up until I was like 12, randomly I would have premonitions. But like months out of like, I would see everything happening, and I'm just like, okay, all right, so that's gonna happen. And then like it would happen, and I'm like, what the fuck? Am I... Like, did I have this dream? And it would feel like I had the dream the night before, but then I would think, no, I didn't have a dream last night. It had to be months ago. So I believe in all of that. I believe in aliens. I believe in there being some type of like, whether you want to call it supernatural or another part of science that we haven't discovered and we can't name yet, right? Like we just we haven't elevated to that level of thinking. But I think it's all around us, right? Because we're starting to understand that, dark matter is equivalent to light matter when we used to think that like dark matter was very small compared to light matter, right? So who knows?
Yeah, what's up with he can't get back on?
Oh, I don't know. Did he say
Conjuring got him?
Did he say that?
Anyone text him? I can't text him because I'm using my phone.
I'll text him.
Yeah. All I know is all of like outside of like tangible loss, right? Like outside of losing family and friends and things like that, stuff that I can't explain is definitely high on that list of like, nah, I can't deal with it, right? Like, especially if like it's being validated. Like that haunted house we lived in, my wife literally saw like an old man like walking through the house. Like there was too many times where it was like all of us, like we're all being like terrified, right? Like my daughter would wake up screaming, right? And like pointing at the rocking chair, right? That was in her room. And we were like, yo, I would just walk in, get her, and just walk out.
This? Where was it? Where?
In Queens. It was a house in Ozone Park, Queens. And it was just thing after thing after thing. And I've never been like welcoming to that kind of stuff, right? Like I've never really given it much thought. The only other time where something happened where it was like maybe, right, was like shortly after my mom's passed, right? Like I was like asleep in my bed and I felt, it sounds cliche, but I like felt her presence, right? But I'm like young and I like my eyes are closed and I'm like, look, I love you. I don't know if you're there or not, but I can't do this, right? Like I don't want the last image of you for me to be like you terrifying me, right? So like if you're there, don't do that, right? Like, and I just like under the cover style stay there until like it was gone, right? Like nah, couldn't do it. So the question is, if you could, would you want to? Would you want to like see someone who's passed away?
If they're gonna come back civil, yeah. Now, if you're gonna come back and not be you when you passed away, no, keep your little angry ass somewhere else. But nah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's everybody's desire, right? Is to see a loved one or someone they cared about, or even people that have never met and just have a conversation with them. But I think, to Rion's point, like everything we learn about, that part or the potential of that is that they come back angry for whatever reason. I'll give you guys a real world example of I totally believe this shit works because so for the last 4 years at work, I've been trying to figure out what I want to do next. Can't really figure it out. Finally came across an idea of what I want to do next. Was talking about it with my boss, and this is when my grandmother was still alive right before she passed, and he was like, "Hey, we need to get you a maternity cover in this area somehow, right? You have to keep your eyes peeled, see if something comes up, because that's the only way you're really going to get experience because it's like something completely opposite of what I'm doing now." And he's like, but it's very far and few in between. And the type of role it is, the type of area it is, usually it only exists in headquarters, which is overseas. Like nobody wants to go. Well, it's very difficult to go over there with children. Anyway, so grandmother passes. And 3 weeks later, I get an email from the person that's in charge of that role. Just wanted to know if you'd be interested in doing maternity cover in this role. I have one coming up. The woman just announced that she is pregnant. And so I was like, holy shit, that's awesome. Yes, I completely. And I had to go through the process. But I was talking to my mentor at work and I was talking to a couple of other people and they were like, I was totally your grandmother in her passing. She moved that because it was just the most random, it couldn't have been more spot on. Because I also had a conversation with the person that's in charge of that role 3 months prior to that. Like, hey, I'd love to join your team at some point. Yes, I'll keep you posted if anything comes up that, I think you'd be interested in, but I'm not adding any headcount. And I don't think that the company is allowing me to add any headcount right now, but you'd be a perfect fit. And then grandma passes. And then 2 weeks later, I get that email/call like, hey, come join our team as a maternity cover, which is exactly what my boss wanted, which would give me enough experience in case something else came up in that area. It's completely switching, from sales to product development pretty much. So even if something else came up in product development after I've completed this assignment, then I'm a more viable candidate because I'm internal and I have experience over there now. So I totally believe in, things. I think life is, an equation, but I think there's other things that get factored into the equation and how energy moves and what you can do, when you become pure energy again.
There's no reason why this galaxy is so big, this universe is so big, and we're the only intelligent life on it. So, no. George just texts and he said he's watching everything and he hears everything, but he can't we don't see him and don't see.
I tried to let him back in, but it's not meant to be, bro. I don't know. He's gonna have to just catch this one on the replay.
Should we do an outro like we all do a G outro for him, in memory since he left? Peace. This has been episode 15 in the book.
You should play.
Damn, man.
We survived.
Play some.
I know you're gonna
We all
be tight,
survived, George.
We need to play what's that song? In the eyes of an angel.
That or the end of the road, right? And then just put his photo up and the dates and times he's recorded.
Crossroads. Bum, 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 bum.
Yes.
Peace.
Totally
Rion's abs is gonna be better than mine in about a month. Peace. And
I miss my Uncle George, y'all.
Damn.
Yeah, we just be killing them.
Oh.
That'll probably be the most watched video.
Yo, anybody else got any fears they want to reveal? Since I let y'all know everything that frightens me in this universe. Oh, y'all all fearless now.
No, I mean,
I agree with you.
You were pretty spot on mine. Did you see recently that we just talked about, or it was on CNN, but the government just also said they've discovered a deep space signal, another deep space signal that keeps repeating itself every 115 days.
No,
you guys didn't see that?
I heard about a signal that
when I read that article.
That was 5 years ago, though, a signal that was coming out. Is this the same signal or?
No, well, there's three that I've seen that I've heard about so far. There were two last year, one that repeated every 28 days, another one that repeated like every 100 and something days, and then this year they talked about another one that they just found that's repeating, and like they're like, well, should we investigate? And I'm like, that's how all those movies start. We answer, they come.
Yes,
they are millions of years more advanced than us, and then we end up being mole people because they've scorched the earth. Like, just don't answer it.
Just
like,
leave it alone.
we can't even fly planes with 100% accuracy yet. Like, stop answering stuff that can travel a galaxy.
Yeah, if they could get to us, obviously if they could get to us, they're way more advanced than us. So yeah. But you also got to realize whenever they declassify certain things in technology that we know of, then usually that stuff is outdated. So you don't really know where we are in relevance to technology just yet because it doesn't reach us as, the regular public until, oh, there you go. Damn, man.
With this shit.
I hear you, but I also feel like it's as much as I fear like abduction, I feel like I would love like to be able to ask questions beyond our scope of imagination, right? Like, because there are things we can answer now that like an iPhone 10 years ago would have been witchcraft, right? Like, imagine
not necessarily, because Star Trek had everything. Star Trek had Bluetooth, iPad, iPhone, cell phone. Star Trek created everything.
No, but it wasn't even like even looking at video games today. Can you imagine when you were playing Super Nintendo? If you were like back when Nintendo 64 came out, and you're like, these are the best graphics ever.
Oh yeah, you said that in every video game system. Yeah.
Yeah. And now,
so you're thinking more along the lines of like Interstellar.
Yeah.
But here's I don't have an issue, but my fear is they're sending a signal for a reason, right? We're not equipped to send a radio signal into deep space, right? So like, what makes us think that we can help them if they're asking for help? Like, that's just like seeing a ship go down on another timeline, and you're in a fucking rowboat. Like, what the fuck?
Interstellar. Like, it could be us in another timeline.
Right.
Gee, you said you heard of it. You want to like
mention where?
Nah, don't try and include me now, dog. I'm just let y'all go ahead.
I know you did your outro. It was great.
Did you hear my outro?
I heard you say something about your abs is gonna be better than mine. I mean, I'm ready now. We can just do it now.
Before that, we all like gave forth like real like things that frighten us. What you got? You got to give something more than like socio-economical like hierarchies and things like that. I need to know something personal.
Nah, I mean, I don't do like bugs.
Oh, that's true. A mouse can scare you out of your house.
Yeah, they can have it. See too many of those, it's like, all right, just take over the mortgage. Tell my wife I love her, but I ain't signed up for all this.
So Australia is out of the question for you?
Australia.
Anything where there's bugs and I do want to say this though, because I heard y'all talking about spirits and all of that, and I believe in that. Like, for real, I feel like my mom's she's always like watching over me. Whenever I'm doing a little too much, I'm being a little too spicy and I'm bugging out unnecessarily, it seemed like something weird always happens to me. Like I might trip, bump my head or something. I always feel like it's her, like
she's still disciplining
knocking some sense into me, like, all right, you going too far, you doing too much, chill out now. So I believe in all of that. It sounded like y'all had a good talk. You're having a nice chat without me. We'll talk about how I feel about that.
Everything
that compliment sandwich going to be a little different this time around.
I told you he was going to be tight. He hates technical difficulties. He don't like technical difficulties. I know it was going to be tight.
It's real coincidental.
We queued up in the memory of George.
Yeah,
photos.
I heard B say, tough luck, he's just going to have to catch it. Something like that. I was tuned in. Don't think I was tuned in. And the audience is going to notice that. I didn't stop. Nobody stopped to figure out what was going on. The show must go on, right?
Yeah.
Respect.
Yeah, and we made sure it happened. I don't know what you was like. We did what we were supposed to do.
Nah, this is why I'm not with no 12 o'clock recording. Like,
Did you guys get a chance to check out
12 o'clock.
In the Heights yet?
No, I didn't want to watch that. You know, I could have been prejudging it. I thought it was gonna be like Sharks versus the what's that? You know what I'm talking about? West Side Story, like a new thing at West Side Story. I just off of the preview and the things. Yeah, I didn't, but I'm pretty sure you're gonna tell me different.
Chicago. I thought it was like what's that movie? Is it Chicago with Tay Diggs, the musical type movie?
Oh, Rent.
Rent.
Is it Rent?
Well, you said Tay Diggs. Never mind.
Yeah, Tay Diggs isn't the one I'm talking about. He's singing. It's a musical.
Yo, my wife watched it, and I told her to watch it with her sister. Like, watch it without me. I wasn't.
You don't like musicals?
Generally,
I don't
not,
like.
right? I love Moana, right? For what that's worth, I think Moana was a masterpiece.
Give it a chance.
Yeah. What about Grease?
It's not. No? It's definitely not West Side Story, right? I don't know. I enjoyed it because I grew up in the neighborhood. So like it's very relevant and like, oh shit, like that's legit like what that is. Like they go to I don't know if y'all are familiar, but like High Bridge Park and High Bridge Pool, and there's like a whole thing that happens there, and like it's very nostalgic, but like it also wasn't like shitting on the Heights or shitting on like immigrants or Dominican people or anyone, right? And then when you actually think of it, it has a special connection for my wife because she saw it when she was on Broadway and it was playing off Broadway. But then on top of all that, when you think about it, this is what made Hamilton. He wrote this before he even thought about writing Hamilton. I was
about to say, wasn't it written by Lin-Manuel Miranda? So that's why I might watch it, because I don't like musicals, but Hamilton was like a stroke of genius, right? So I might give it a shot.
This is pretty. This I won't say it's on the level of Hamilton because obviously this was like the first iteration of it, and then like he was able to really sit down and do Hamilton. But he built off of this because he saw that this actually worked. When you watch it though, like he wrote the female character like to pretty much portray his life. So like when you watch it, like you may think like the male lead is him, but it's actually the woman. Like based on like how he had to come up and like do things that like nobody did before him. And like the conflicts that he had with all of that stuff.
I don't know. It's real life. Then, like how the man think he really in charge, but really the boss is the woman.
The views expressed by George about who's in charge of their relationship.
Your wife ain't your boss.
Not necessarily the views and opinions of the cast members of the Choose to Not Inspire podcast.
Okay, Mister. I'm gonna check to see if we got any plans that day to let you know if we could record or not.
That's a courtesy.
Oh, it's a
courtesy.
All right. Babe, I know who runs the show around here.
I live my life through Outlook. Like
wait,
half the time.
You said Cecily was on Broadway?
Yeah, so she was a musical theater major and she did some stuff on Broadway.
Really?
Yeah, nothing like she'll tell you it was nothing major, but like
Broadway.
It's awesome if you can really like make it, but it's not sustainable for like 97% of the people because like very few people. I shouldn't say very few, but few people make it where they're like constantly called and cast, right? But when you get there, you're making like $150,000 a year in full health insurance. But the time it takes you to get there, like you're like hoping that you get, to be, a understudy, because then you start to get a little bit of like, recognition and cash, but most of the time it's you're doing odd jobs until your next casting. It's kind of like being an actor in LA. Yeah.
Even when you're an understudy, those contracts are garbage. It's almost like you're still living roommate life. You're still working another job. It's not all as what.
It's tough. Yeah.
Right. But you're in the union at that point, so like and you're in the union early on, right? You have to get like something like, I think it's like 300 hours or something, then you can be in the union. But then when you start to make it to these different like levels, like understudy, you're guaranteed, like they know they have to pay you like X amount as a salary. and like you work 6 days a week, but you get this as a salary. Or if you're traveling production, they have to give you more for your room and board and your salary. So, but it's hard getting there, right?
So why y'all running from my karaoke challenge then, Kofi? If you
I got one song that's going to destroy you, and that's it.
Probably gonna be some Justin Timberlake thing.
You know it. He pulling out Cry Me a River.
Nope.
Cue the theme music.
Nope.
He's gonna be sitting in the corner.
Song. It's gonna be so easy. You're gonna be like, I don't even know how to compete with this.
Listen, I'm the karaoke king around here, so I'm not worried. B, I got
you don't have my song.
Rihanna the only one who's not gonna get it because he's so far away. Bring that guitar, bring the ukulele.
I'm bring all of
bring all of that. Whatever you need. Yeah, I'm really salty that y'all did this episode without me.
Technically, we didn't do the episode. We did the actual main episode with you, but then the side dishes.
I had a good time. I heard everything. Y'all started talking about. Y'all couldn't wait for me to be gone because y'all started talking about.
We just kept going.
Y'all started talking about what y'all really be wanting to talk about.
See, this is the problem.
Well, in post, what we can do is when you get cut off.
That makes you afraid.
And you don't want us to be good. We getting a break from the feelings today. We're not talking about emotions. B, good job. You got them out of here. The plan worked. Y'all probably got a separate chat that y'all orchestrated this.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
Yo, I knew he was gonna be upset. Like, yo, he don't like technical difficulties, man.
Because I was watching. I was talking. And then I was like, wait. Are they ignoring me?
Nah, all I saw was that's why I text you on the side. I'm like, yo,
the way it's supposed to look. It looked normal, and then I was like, hold on, I'm talking, but they're still talking. Are they just dissing me?
See, that's a good engineer. Engineer was just like, hey, keep it going.
He muted.
Jordan's gonna come back on.
It's okay.
Roll on.
We'll talk.
What if on the recording you see we were ignoring you? You see the recording, you're like, yo, they really could hear me. And we just like
look forward to that intro episode 16, y'all. I got another compliment sandwich coming from my guys. It's all negative though. Oh man. Damn, I feel like I can't even catch up. I'm gonna just fall back.
Nah, I mean, I feel like we might as well let you.
You didn't miss much.
We've been doing it. It was good money. It was a good episode.
It was good. I'm proud of y'all. Thank y'all for letting me know y'all can carry on in my absence, but don't let this happen again. I hope enjoy episode 15 talking about our greatest fears, and I hope you got something from it. I got something from it. My new greatest fear is that and not even warn me, but hey, whatever you do, be inspired, man. Enjoy the people around you, live in the moment, stay happy, be free, enjoy your life. Choose to inspire, not destroy. Peace.